How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. The last time Bitcoin made this move, it went up over 140%. We have news of a couple different big narratives that are coming to crypto and some companies as well that are pushing these narratives that I think could be something that you have to pay attention to for the next bull run. We also have some news from Binance, and we have some clarity on what's going to happen with Genesis and DCG and Gemini customers. So if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button underneath the video. If you haven't already done that, that's great. If you have already subscribed to the channel, turn that bell notification so you know right when I post a video. Yesterday, we came out with a video before anyone else talking about the news that Binance was suspending withdrawals. So again, I think some of this is pretty time sensitive. If there are any big events happening in crypto, you want to get that as soon as possible. And if you want to join the Patreon, you can know what I'm doing with my crypto to make sure that you are getting the fastest information, because sometimes it does take a while to upload to YouTube. So I always write the Patreon members first. So check out that underneath the video. There's also a link down there to Margex in case you want to leverage trade in this market. And there's a link to moomoo and to Webull as well if you want some free money. Just deposit a little bit on the platform, but there's more information underneath the video. So that's enough talking about all that. Let's take a look at the market. The overall market's up 1.3% in crypto, but Bitcoin is sideways. It's kind of interesting, but when you look, you can kind of tell why that's happening. There's some cryptos that are up a lot here today. For example, the graph's up 34.5%. It's made a huge move over the last couple months, actually over the last month. Singularity Net is also up 30%. Fetch AI, Lido DAO. When we look at the worst performers, there isn't anything that's worse than Radix, and that's just one crypto that's down more than 3%. It's down 5.6%. So overall, it's a pretty great day in crypto. Even if Bitcoin's not moving, some of the alts are moving, so that's pretty good. Now, the DXY is pumping a little bit here today. Really, since last Friday, we've seen a lot of green on the DXY, which is bringing down the markets, and we're back at 103. We fell all the way down to under 101. So this is causing the markets to drag down. You can see a little bit of a pullback there. Let me just zoom in there. We did pass the 50-day EMA, and then we're retracing back underneath it. So hopefully that holds kind of as a resistance and we fall back down. That would be great for risk assets. Now, I think this is causing the market to be a little bit red here today with the DXY pumping up, but we also have Jerome Powell speaking later today, just in a few hours. If there's anything that's really important in that speech, I will update you. But he just spoke last week, and I don't think the jobs report, as I've said several times, will really sway his thinking on the economy. Now, we'll have to see what happens in a week, because that's essentially when we get CPI. It might be a week and a day or something like that, but we do get CPI next week. So that's going to be an important thing that could drive the market over the next few weeks. One company that's actually doing well today when the rest of the market is sideways or down at this point is Microsoft. They're up 2.3%, and I think that's because they have their new big event that's happening just today. They're going to discuss OpenAI's ChatGPT. This is going to happen Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and they're expected to talk about OpenAI's ChatGPT and how Microsoft will use it in its products. A lot of people think that they might be unveiling that Bing is going to have either like a sidebar, or it's just going to take over Bing, and that's going to be what Bing is from now on, just a ChatGPT browser, essentially. We'll have to see what comes out of this, but I think this is a good investment from Microsoft, and it's great for ChatGPT as well because they got a lot of funding, and they'll also have the opportunity to spread their reach massively because Microsoft is a huge company. Google's also up about 1.5% here today. They unveiled last night that Bard is their AI product, and they're doing like a hackathon. They're trying to push Bard out to a number of testers throughout this part of the year and then unveil it to the wider public later in the year. So I would assume that this is something they had in their back pocket, but maybe they just weren't ready to implement, because, I mean, it is pretty risky when they already have such a great product in Google search to just overhaul it, and they want to make sure that they have the right setup so that way they don't cannibalize their own business of ads, because Google search is great for ad revenue compared to something like this where you can just tell someone the answer and they don't have to scroll past other options. There's also some question over whether these companies can even use the data that they're scrubbing. Now, I think Google will be in a good spot to do this because maybe they could pay advertising revenue. Maybe they could put ads on the sides to relevant products. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do, but they are obviously the leader in search and they want to keep that role. Now, this has all caused a lot of excitement in the market, this AI revolution, and this is Singularity Net. This is one of the top cryptocurrencies that's up here today. They're 70th overall, and they're up 10x in the last month. So this AI product or project is up massively. I really don't know what they do too much. I haven't looked into a lot of the AIs because to me, at this point, they are just really the hype in the crypto market. They are the narrative that people are playing to. And of course, you can make a lot of money doing this, playing the narratives, but you don't want to be a bag holder. And right now, I don't see the AI products really being helpful for anything. I don't know if they'll actually gain user adoption. I'm worried that as soon as Microsoft and Google stops talking about AI, which who knows if they do, because they are playing out this narrative and it seems like they're investing further and further into it. But I just wouldn't want to be a bag holder because I don't think these projects are very fundamentally strong, and they have a lot of them don't have great tokenomics either. So just be careful about that. I mean, baby Dogecoin is 92nd in the top 100 cryptos. That's probably a bad sign for the market right now. But I would just be a little bit careful. These are getting a little bit frothy for where they were at just a month ago. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't continue. I'll be looking to see if there's a AI crypto that is actually producing something valuable. Now, Bitcoin is obviously my largest investment in cryptocurrency, and it really drives the market. We're still in this ascending channel here. We bounced off it, and then we're coming up a little bit. This is the one-day chart here, and we just got a golden cross here with the 50-day, obviously, moving over the 200-day. Now, when we look at the 1 week here, the 1 week chart, we're also at an interesting point here because we're about to hit the death cross. We're within a few days of the death cross here, and we just hit the golden cross on the 1 day. I'm not sure this has ever happened. I don't believe it has, where we've even seen a death cross on the weekly chart. But this is crazy. The last time that the daily chart had a golden cross, we moved up 154% from right over here to up here, 154%. Now we did move back down, and we actually capitulated below the entry point of that 154% move, or the beginning point. So be careful. We could always see more red in the future, but still, that is pretty compelling. If we moved up 154%, I think many of us would be happy. That would put us around $58,000 from here. I wouldn't expect this to happen by any means. I think the market is pretty reliant on macro and pretty reliant on the Fed, and this is just a different cycle. Obviously, every cycle is different, so we might not get that 154%. And a lot of the time, this is a lagging indicator where we've already moved up a lot, and that's why we have the golden cross. Not necessarily indicating that we'll continue to move up, but it's still positive to see this in the past. I think that's still something to pay attention to. Now, yesterday I covered Binance suspending U.S. withdrawals and deposits, U.S. dollar withdrawals and deposits. This is obviously on their Binance product, not their Binance U.S. product. And it's also of note that not too many people use USD deposits if they're using Binance, because we don't use that here in the U.S. So there are just a few number of clients. They said, I think 0.1% of their clients, or 0.01% of their clients actually use USD deposits and withdrawals on their Binance product. So hopefully this will clear up. I did bring it to everyone's attention before I think anyone that I could see on YouTube did. And there were just a few mentions about it before that. But I think, again, that this is going to be okay. They're just looking for a new banking partner, and then they'll get back to business as usual. But don't be surprised if there's some people spreading some FUD about that. Now, we got some news about Gemini. So I know a lot of people use the Gemini Earn program. They have 340,000 clients that used it, and they just reached an agreement with Genesis. They say the plan is a critical step forward towards a substantial recovery of the assets for all Genesis creditors. In addition, Gemini will be contributing up to $100 million more for Earn users as part of this plan, further demonstrating Gemini's continued commitment to helping Earn users achieve a full recovery. We've been working around the clock since November 16 to reach this milestone. We greatly appreciate the support and patience of earn users. There's still much work to be done to complete this process, including further due diligence of Genesis financials and judicial approval of this plan, but we are confident that we now have a framework in place to execute on. It is of note that they did not describe how much Genesis is going to contribute to this plan. They said that they were willing to kick in $100 million. There is some indication that Genesis and DCG will probably give about 80 cents on the dollar. Gemini is also offering $100 million, so maybe that will get it close to 90 cents on the dollar. And supposedly they have a way to continue to try to move on a path to $1 for the Genesis creditors. I don't know how exactly they'll do that. Maybe they'll pay out a percentage of profits or something like that, or give a token. I'm not exactly sure, but hopefully this continues to get resolved. I think this is a step in the right direction. 80 cents on the dollar is better than I think most people would have expected beforehand. Hopefully, though, everyone is held accountable over at Genesis and DCG, because it does sound like they were doing some pretty shady things. Sounds like fraud. So hopefully everyone keeps their crypto safe and only uses trading platforms to do just that, just to trade. And I think the majority of people's crypto should be on cold storage. That's really the best way to keep your crypto secure. I do think we are getting ready for a big move in crypto, a pretty volatile move, because we do have that 50-day and the 200-day passing. We have the 50-week and the 200-week passing, the golden cross and the death cross. We're right around 25,000, which has been an area of resistance. We have CPI as well coming out next week, and there's just a lot of confluence all happening, obviously at the same time. We could get some volatility. Now, of course, this is kind of a sideways year typically, so maybe we just keep on trending sideways, but I would be ready for some big moves. Like I said, I have some cash on the sidelines. I also have some crypto as well, so I'm really ready for any kind of scenario, but I'm definitely still looking for some altcoins, so I wouldn't mind a little bit of downside in the short term. I wouldn't mind us falling down a little bit, maybe testing 20, 21,000, even if we broke through some of those supports that we saw recently. But I'd also be happy if I got to ride the wave up a little bit as well. I think it's more likely that we're headed to the upside at this point than the downside, but who knows? This is crypto. Now, I do want to say there is that link underneath the video to Margex in case you want to try to long or short these next coming moves. I think there's a lot of volatility and a lot of ways that you can make money. There's also a link down there to the Patreon in case you want to know what I'm buying and selling. And there are a couple of links again to moomoo and to Webull. If you haven't signed up for those, I would highly suggest it. It really makes a lot of sense because you only have to put $100 on moomoo to get some free stocks, up to 15 free stocks. And then you only have to put $1 on Webull, and then you can get at least $34 worth is what I calculated. So definitely check those out underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. It does help out the channel, and I will see you in the next one.